Welcome to the Unraveling the Scriptures channel. Today, we will explore the story of Athaliah, the daughter of Jezebel, who exhibited remarkable cruelty in her journey. Her path led her to a level of malevolence comparable to that of her own mother. Athaliah played a crucial role by being responsible for the murder of almost all her grandchildren, profaning the house of God in the process. For those who appreciate the channel's videos, we invite you to enjoy this content by liking and sharing it with those interested in the Word of God and biblical stories. Your participation, through subscribing to the channel, significantly contributes, providing more strength for us to continue producing videos like this. Who was Athaliah? The daughter of Ahab and Jezebel, who defiled the house of God. After Elijah's prophecy about the lives of Ahab and Jezebel, both met a tragic end. Ahab perished in a battle against the Syrians, while Jezebel was thrown out of a window. Jezebel left behind a daughter named Athaliah, whose name carried the meaning of afflicted by God. Athaliah ascended to the throne of Judah, becoming the only queen to occupy David's throne in biblical history. Athaliah married Jehoram, the eldest son of Jehoshaphat, when she was only 32 years old. Jehoram ascended to the reign of Judah, sharing the first 4 years of his reign with his father. However, unlike the holy and righteous ways of Jehoshaphat, Jehoram became a tyrannical ruler after his marriage to Athaliah. His son, Ahaziah, ascended the throne at age 22 with the support of his mother Maleficent, following his father's evil reputation. Athaliah, guiding her son in wicked plans as recorded in 2 Chronicles 22 verse 3, encouraged him to follow the ways of the house of Ahab. However, this reign was short-lived, as Ahaziah ruled Judah for only 1 year before being assassinated. Upon learning of her son's death, Athaliah, far from mourning the loss, seized the opportunity to usurp the monarchy, executing the sons of Ahaziah, who were also her grandsons. In committing this act, she eliminated the entire royal family and managed to ascend to the throne. However, Athaliah was unaware that one of her grandsons had survived the massacre, as recorded in 2 Kings 11 verses 1-3. Josabeah, sister of Ahaziah and daughter of King Jehoram, took her nephew Joash, son of Ahaziah, and hid him among the other sons of the king who were about to be killed. She placed Joash with his nurse in a room, ensuring the child was not murdered. Joash remained concealed in the Lord's temple for 6 years while Athaliah ruled the land. Athaliah seized the situation to consolidate her power. After her son's death, she took control for herself. Lust for reign is terrible, as it destroys all beautiful aspects of life, turning even parents, siblings, and children into the most barbaric of savages. Josabeah, aunt of the children destined for death, acted courageously by entering the royal house and rescuing Joash, who was part of the condemned group. This humble woman played a significant role in God's plan for the ages. Even in the face of evil people like Athaliah, God can always raise up a figure like Josabeah to thwart evil. Following in the footsteps of Samuel, Joash grew up in the temple, likely developing discreet ways to assist the priests without drawing too much attention to himself. God had promised David that his lineage would continue forever, a promise known as, "Establish a lamp for his anointed one." Despite Ahaziah's inappropriate behavior as king and his involvement in immoral alliances, he was still David's heir and the successor to his royal lineage. God fulfilled his promise to David by protecting this little child from the carnage ordered by Athaliah. The savage malice of Athaliah almost put an end to it. Never before had so many royal lineages been exterminated. Strangely, this queen, daughter of a king, wife of a king, and mother of a king, proved to be so brutal towards her own royal family. She acted out of selfish desires, craving power and believing that there was no other way to attain it, fearing competition. Furthermore, Athaliah demonstrated vengeance and anger directed towards God, as the house of her father, that of Ahab, had been completely destroyed. As a form of retaliation, she decided to destroy the house of David and cut off its lineage, defying God's promise to perpetuate them. It is generally believed that grandparents are more affectionate towards their grandchildren than they were with their own children. However, appropriately, she was called Athaliah, for she was an evil woman, as mentioned in 2 Chronicles 24 verse 7, being the daughter of Jezebel. Additionally, it is mentioned that the wicked offspring of Athaliah invaded the house of God and profaned the sacred things of the temple, using them for the worship of the god Baal. However, Joash was a rescued mark from the fire, and his place of safety was the temple, in one of the chambers belonging to it, where Athaliah rarely disturbed, as his aunt took care of him. Here, Joash was placed under the unique protection of God and, as a result, was hidden by faith, much like Moses was hidden. David's words were fulfilled for one of his descendants, as in Psalm 27 verse 5, "In the tabernacle of the Lord shall he hide me." When Joash grew up, he set out to repair the house of the Lord, which had served as a refuge for him. The promise given to David at that time was tied to a single life, and it was fulfilled because of the covenant with David. The Lord protected Joash so that the royal lineage would not be interrupted, even as Athaliah attempted to assassinate him. The long-term repercussions of what she tried to do are truly astonishing. It was a diabolical attempt to break the royal dynasty that would lead to the Messiah. Joash and his nurse remained hidden inside the unused room of the temple all the while, and he did not leave that place during the 6 years Athaliah reigned in the region. Athaliah also kept an eye on other temples during her reign as the Queen of Judah, using her position to strengthen the worship of the Baals throughout the kingdom, appointing priests and building altars for her idol within the temple of the Lord. According to 2 Chronicles 24 verse 7, the sons of Athaliah, this wicked woman, invaded the house of God and offered all the consecrated items of the Lord's house to the Baals. Jezebel, Athaliah's mother, set the precedent for this behavior, and Athaliah followed in her footsteps. In the 7th year, Jehu summoned the centurions and officers of the guard to make an alliance with them in the house of the Lord, swearing loyalty. He then showed them the king's son. Athaliah's reign of terror lasted 7 years, and though we don't have a specific record of her reign, there is no doubt that it was consistent with the beginning. While Jehu worked to end the worship of Baal in Israel, Athaliah worked to establish it in Judah, as mentioned in 2 Chronicles 24 verse 7, due to the alliance with the family of Ahab. Throughout this time, Joash remained hidden, despite being entitled to a crown and destined for it. He was buried in anonymity. The priest Jehoiada was tasked with managing this massive undertaking. He was likely the high priest or at least the religious leader known as the chief priest. Jehoiada was a man committed to restoring the throne of David to the Davidic lineage, taking it away from the daughter of Ahab and Jezebel. He achieved this by removing Athaliah from power. The priest handed over to the officers of the guard the spears and shields that had belonged to King David and were in the temple of the Lord. Then, the guards positioned themselves with their weapons in hand around the king, from the right side of the temple to the left, near the altar in the house. They brought the king's son, placed the crown on him, bore witness, proclaimed him king, anointed him, and clapped their hands, saying, "Long live the king." When the guards were positioned, the king was presented as a visible sign that he had received the power of a king. They placed the crown on his head, although it was still too large and heavy for him. Probably, the royal insignias were stored in the temple, meaning the crown was always at hand. They applauded with joy and expressed their sincere wishes for well-being, saying, "Long live the king." In this way, they made him king, in agreement with the divine assignment. They had reason to rejoice because Athaliah's oppressive reign had come to an end, and they had the prospect of restoration and the establishment of religion by a king, under the guidance of such a worthy man as Jehoiada. Athaliah managed to rule unopposed for a total of 6 years. Many people continued to submit their lives to the dominion of Satan because they did not know that a true king was waiting to take the throne in their lives. It was necessary for the son of the king to come with the word of God. When Athaliah heard the sound of the guards and the people, she entered the house of the Lord, where the people were gathered. Upon looking, she saw the young king on the platform next to the pillar, as was customary on such occasions. Then, Athaliah tore her clothes and cried out, "Treason, treason!" At that moment, Jehoiada, the priest, commanded the officers of the guard, who were in charge of the army, to take her out from among the ranks. Anyone who followed her was to be killed with the sword, for the priest had said that she would not be killed in the temple of the Lord. They seized her, and she was taken through the horses' entrance to the royal palace, where she was executed. Then, the priest established a covenant between the Lord, the king, and the people of the Lord. The people entered the temple of Baal and demolished everything, especially the images of that false god. At that moment, all the people celebrated, and the entire city was at peace. Joash was 7 years old when he began to reign. The story is not just a twist but a great learning lesson about how greed and envy only bring us defeat and suffering. Therefore, we must be at peace and stand firm with God and His teachings. If you've made it this far, leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more biblical stories with great inspiring lessons. Thank you very much, and may God be with you. See you soon.